Chapter 8 is on Chemistry of Life. This chapter is a combination between organic chemistry and biochemistry. Organic chemistry is a study of carbon-containing compounds. These compounds only could be formed by living system, while biochemistry is a study of chemistry of living species. In this final chapter, you will be introduced to a brief view of some of the elementary aspects of organic chemistry and biochemistry. This chapter is divided into two main parts, which are organic chemistry and biochemistry. First part discusses on the general characteristic of organic molecules, hydrocarbons, and its classes. Second part emphasizes on the chemistry of living organisms and its major divisions. In the first part, the topics include general characteristics of organic molecules, introduction to hydrocarbon, alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes, as well as organic functional group. While in the second part, the topics cover introduction to biochemistry, proteins, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. Without further delay, let's start with organic chemistry. The 3D organic and bioorganic molecules play an essential role in determining physical and chemical behavior. Carbon has 4 valence electrons and can attach with maximum of 4 other atoms. The simplest bond type for carbon is a single bond. CH bonds occur in almost every organic molecule, and CC bonds form the backbone or skeleton of the molecule. While hydrogen atoms are on the surface, or skin of the molecule. The bonding arrangements are important in determining overall molecular shape. Functional group is a group of atoms, which determines how an organic molecule functions or reacts. It is the center of reactivity in an organic molecule. Next, we learn on the concept of polarity of organic molecule. Overall, polarity of organic molecules is often low. That means, they are generally soluble in nonpolar solvents, and not very polar in water. However, in organic molecule, there is another class that we called surfactant organic molecules. It has long, nonpolar, and polar parts, and found in many biochemically important acidic substances, as well as soap and detergents. Next, we move to the introduction of hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon is the simplest class of organic compound, composed of hydrogen and carbon. It can be divided into 4 general types, depending on the bonding type. They are alkanes, alkenes, alkynes, and aromatic. Alkanes contain only single bonds. They are called saturated hydrocarbons. Alkanes contain the largest possible number atoms per carbon. Next, alkenes known as olefins contain at least 1 C double bond. As example ethylene, C2H4. Then, alkynes contain at least 1 C triple bonds. As example is acetylene, C2H2. In aromatic hydrocarbons, the carbon atoms are connected in a planar ring structure. For example is benzene, C6H6. The members of these different classes of hydrocarbons exhibit different chemical behavior. However, their physical properties are similar in many ways. Hydrocarbon molecules are relatively nonpolar, because carbon and hydrogen do not differ greatly in electronegativity. Thus, they are completely insoluble in water, but they dissolve readily in other nonpolar solvents. Nonpolar solvents such as benzene, hexane, and others. Let's start with the first 3 groups of organic compounds, which are alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes. Alkanes are used so widely in the world, for example methane, C2H6, is a major component of natural gas, and is used for home heating, and in gas stoves and water heaters. Other example is propane, C3H8, is a major bottled gas, used for home heating and cooking, in areas where natural gas is not available. Or butane, is used in disposable lighters, and in fuel canisters for gas camping stoves, and lanterns. As shown here, alkane is a single bond, and sometimes is called saturated hydrocarbons, which is bounded or saturated with hydrogen. Structures of alkanes can be written using Lewis structures, as we have learned before. Still remember? Sometimes, they are also called structural formulas. However, it is not so convenient, because we need to draw each bond of CH. Therefore, we change it to a more convenient way like this, where it doesn't require drawing all the bonds. The only type of bonding in alkane is van der Waals force, known as London dispersion force. As you can see in this table, the boiling point increases with the length of the chain. Why is this happen? Because in longer chain length, more energy is needed to break the bond, or van der Waals force. So, the boiling point increases. Next is cycloalkanes. Alkanes that can form rings or cycles are called cycloalkanes. 5 and 6-membered rings are most stable. Smaller rings are quite strained, such as cyclopropane. Next, we learn on the reactions of alkanes. Because they contain only CC and CH bonds, most alkanes are relatively unreactive. Due to that, they make great nonpolar solvents. One of the most commercially important reactions is combustion in air, which is the basis of their use as fuels. Now, we move to the second class of hydrocarbon, which is alkenes. Alkenes are unsaturated hydrocarbons that contain at least one carbon-carbon double bond. The simplest alkene is ethene, C2H2. Ethene is a plant hormone, which plays important roles in seed germination and fruit ripening. Alkenes have fewer number of hydrogens, as compared to alkanes. Unlike alkanes, alkenes cannot rotate freely on the double bond. The side-to-side overlap in the pi bond makes this impossible without breaking the pi bond. In alkene, there are two bonds, we named it as pi bond and sigma bond. Pi bond in alkene is so difficult to rotate and requires the bonds to be broken. This also requires considerable high energy. This creates geometric isomers, which differ from each other, in the spatial arrangement of groups on the double bond. For alkenes, the atoms arrangement have two possibilities, either transposition, or cis position. If 2 of 4 atoms in a same position, it is called cis, as you can see in the first structure. However, if 2 of 4 atoms in a different position, it is called trans, as shown in the second structure. In alkenes, structure arrangement can affect its physical properties. For example, structures number 1 and 2, both structures have 4 carbon atoms. However, the different arrangement of carbon atoms gives the different physical properties. Now, see structure 3 and 4, both have same structure. However, the position of hydrogen atoms is different, resulting a difference in their physical properties. Next, we move to the alkynes, that contain at least one carbon-carbon triple bond. The carbons in the triple bond have a linear geometry. Why? Because multiple bond is very difficult to rotate. They are also unsaturated, because it has a multiple bonds. Okay, next is aromatic hydrocarbon. Aromatic hydrocarbons are cyclic hydrocarbons, that have some particular features, and the molecule is planar. Planar means highly symmetric, with its 120-degree bond angles. Benzene also unsaturated like alkenes or alkynes, however differ in chemical reactivity. Benzene is much more stable, because it is delocalized in the structure. This figure shows the structural formulas, and common names of several aromatic compounds. For aromatic rings that are presented by hexagons, the circle shows the aromatic character. Each corner represents a carbon atom. The hydrogen atoms are usually not shown. Many aromatic hydrocarbons are known by their common names. For examples, benzene, naphthalene, toluene, pyrene, and so forth. Nomenclature for aromatic compound is dependent on the position of atoms or molecules that attached to the compound. As shown here. Ortho means on adjacent carbons. Meta, with one carbon between them. And para, on opposite sides of ring. The reactivity of organic compounds can be attributed to particular atoms within the molecules. A site of reactivity in an organic molecule is called a functional group, because it controls how the molecule behaves or functions. Moreover, these functional groups responsible for the characteristic chemical reactions of those molecules. The same functional group will undergo the same or similar chemical reactions, regardless of the size of the molecule it is a part of. Thus, the chemistry of an organic compound is largely determined by the functional groups it contains. This figure shows the common functional groups in organic chemistry, such as alkene, alkyne, alcohol, ether, amine, aldehyde, ketone, and so forth. Since there are so many functional groups in organic chemistry, we will only concentrate on some of them, such as alcohol, ether, carbonyl compounds, aldehyde, ketone, carboxylic acid, and ester. Now, we start with alcohol. Alcohols contain one or more hydroxyl groups, OH. They are named by adding OL, and a number designates the carbon to which the hydroxyl is attached. For example, here is 2-propanol, Y2, because OH group is in position 2. Similar with the rest of the examples. Many of the products every day are contained alcohol, for example hairspray, parfum, and so on. As Muslim we must aware with all these products, read the ingredients on the product, before you wear or use it. Alcohols are also more acidic than hydrocarbons, due to the presence of OH group. Resulting more acidic, with pKa around 10 to 15. pKa is a unit, used to describe the acidity of organic compounds. This figure shows the example of alcohols, such as 2-propanol, 2-methyl-2-propanol, and so forth. Cholesterol is a biochemically important alcohol, however, when present in excessive amounts, it may precipitate and contribute to high blood pressure. We move to the second important functional group, which is ether. Ether is a compound in which two hydrocarbon groups are bonded to one oxygen. Ethers tend to be quite unreactive. Therefore, they are good polar solvents. For example, here are diethyl ether and THF, which are common solvents for organic reactions. Next functional group is carbonyl compound. The carbonyl group is a carbon-oxygen double bond, and includes many classes of compounds such as amide, aldehyde, carboxylic acid, ester, and ketone. Let's start with aldehyde. In an aldehyde, the carbonyl group has at least one hydrogen atom attached, as in the following examples, methanol and ethanol. While in ketone, there are two carbons bonded to the carbonyl carbon, such as acetone and 2-butanone. Ketone and aldehyde are quite same, only differ in the atom attached to oxygen. Many compounds found in nature possess an aldehyde or ketone functional group. Vanilla flavor, for example, is naturally occurring aldehydes, while ketone imparts the characteristic flavors of spearmint. Next is carboxylic acid. It consists of carbonyl functional groups, which is often written as COOH. These weak acids are widely distributed in nature, and are common in consumer products, such as vinegar, spinach, vitamin C, and many of cosmetic products. Acids that have a hydroxyl group bonded to the carbonyl group are tart-tasting and are weak acids. These are the examples such as lactic acid, formic acid, citric acid, and so forth. Last one is ester. Esters are the products of reactions between carboxylic acids and alcohols. Generally, they have very pleasant odors. They are found in many fruits and perfumes. The example of ester here is ethyl butyrate, which has a fruity odor, similar to pineapple. Next, we move to the second part of this chapter, which is a biochemistry, or the chemistry of life. Biochemistry is the chemistry of living organisms. Before we discuss about specific biochemical molecules, we can make some general observations. As we will see, many biological molecules are quite large. The synthesis of large molecule requires energy, because most of the reactions are endothermic. In addition to requiring a large amount of energy, living organisms are highly organized. This means that the substance makeup from the simplest single-cell organism, and the relationship among of many chemical processes that occur, are truly amazing. These large molecules are called polymer. Examples of biopolymers are proteins, carbohydrates, and nucleic acids. However, lipids are not classified as biopolymer, they are large molecules only. Proteins are polymers of alpha amino acids. It is served as the major structural compounds in animal tissues, part of skins, nails and muscles. Other proteins also serve as hormones, to regulate specific body processes and perform other tasks. A condensation reaction between the amino acids produces a peptide bond. What is peptide bond? We will see later in the next slide. This figure shows the example of amino acids, such as glycine and alanine, which link together by peptide bond to form glycoalanine. Peptide bond is a chemical bond, which attaches amino acid together. Hydrogen bonding in peptide chains causes coils and helices in the chain. Kinking and folding of the coiled chain gives proteins a characteristic shape. Next biopolymer is carbohydrate, which is important class of naturally occurring substances, found in both plant and animal. Sometimes we called it as sugar. Simple sugars are polyhydroxyaldehydes or ketones, such as in the example here, glucose and fructose. However, in solution, they form cyclic structures, as you can see in these examples. These can form chains of sugars that form structural molecules, such as starch and cellulose. The last biopolymer is nucleic acid. Nucleic acids carry the genetic information necessary for cell reproduction. They also control cell development in our body. There are two types of nucleic acids, which are RNA and DNA. Two of the building blocks of RNA and DNA are sugars, ribose or deoxyribose, and cyclic bases, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine or uracil. Nucleic acid formed in double helix. A double-strand held together, as you can see in the figure. As usual, let's do some recapitulation of this topic. Students should be able to differentiate between organic chemistry and biochemistry. Describe organic functional groups and biopolymers. Describe their main applications. Now, we have reached towards the end of our lecture for today. Hope you enjoy watching. Bye.